This is casting on for double knitting. Double knitting is great because it makes a double-sided fabric, so it's thicker and more durable, and it comes out looking really beautiful. So we have 2 rows of pegs on each side of the loom in order to create 2 sides of stitching. The first step for casting on for double knitting is to make a slip knot. And you want to leave a nice long tail. And then you put the slip knot on the contrast colored peg. We're going to pull this off later on. We don't knit on this peg. To start casting on, you'll lace the loom in a zigzag fashion. So you'll start by going around the first peg on the opposite side of the loom to the second peg on the side of the loom that's closest to you, and you just keep doing that on every other peg all the way to the end of the loom. You may need to hold the yarn with your finger if that makes it easier for you. Then once you get to the end, you're going to loop back around and do the same thing on the opposite direction, hitting all those pegs that you skipped before. And when you get to the end, you can just wrap the yarn around the contrast colored peg to hold it still and keep the tension. Go ahead and grab some scrap yarn. It doesn't matter what color or type of yarn this is, and lay it across your lacing. And then you can just pull it through. Then you'll flip the loom over and make a really loose bow tie. You want to make sure you're not pulling it too tight. You don't want to pull in your stitches on the edge. You flip it back over, sort of unwind what you had wound up there on the contrast peg, and we do the same exact thing where we lace in a zigzag fashion. And then when you get to the end, turn around and go back. And when you get to this end, you should have 2 loops on each peg. The last step in casting on is to pull the bottom over the top loop on each peg. And you just want to start with one side of the loom. So once you get to the end of the first row, just turn the loom around and do the exact same thing on the other side, pulling the bottom loop over the top loop. And it's okay if you need to use your fingers sometimes to hold the top loop down. And now you're ready to start double knitting.